Jonathan, yes, we'll
Awesome.
set you up. Read
Welcome.
Jonathan's comment. I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll get a question. Hey everyone, sorry, I'm just now hitting the record button, and that just means that you need to join us live because you may be missing out on conversations and chats and just a good time. We've had like not a social hour, but a social 15 minutes. So now, welcome to the next Integration Quest MuleSoft study group. Today we have Digital D with us. She is going to be going over the MCD2 exam, and she's just going to cover some basics and mastering this, and so preparation for taking the exam and going over some things. So right away we have a question. We'll come back to that, Jonathan. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through a couple little things here like we do, just doing as we do, and we'll get this going. So there's the MuleSoft Integration Quest Code of Conduct. Everybody's been doing great, and we really appreciate everybody doing so well with this. I like to go ahead and emphasize what we've got right here. So we've got the Integration Quest library. You can head over there if you haven't already at any one of these links and find an archive of great information, and all of our study groups are stored on here. Just drop a comment if it helps you, and also give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you want us to cover a certain topic that you're studying on. If you find one of our old archived videos and you're like, hey, can we get caught up on this to current modern standards and see what's going on? Let us know that in a comment, because today, this study group that we're doing is living proof that we take special requests. So we had somebody in the chat one day, I believe it was like 2 weeks ago, and they said, hey, what about MCD2 exam prep? Would you be considering doing that? Thankfully, Digital D was presenting that day, and she said, yeah, I'll do that. Put me down for April 10th. Well, here it is, April 10th, and we're doing it. So this is living proof that we take special requests. So if you have one, please let us know. We want to help you. We love that we're putting out information that's helpful to people. We also would love to be able to, keep doing that. So if you have anything, let us know. All right, so moving right along, let's see who we have here with us today. Like I said, Diane Kesler. She's been doing this for a really long time, and like I always say, we appreciate the expertise. We appreciate the drive to stay sharp on her skills. She didn't just show up 20 plus years ago and say, all right, well, I'm in IT, good for me, because she will be moving the reel-to-reel around like she was back in the day. And I'm not joking. She really literally started doing this type of work in that day, in that era. So what has she done with herself? She's excelled herself. She's obtaining all these certifications, but it's not just about that. It's the fact that she's willing to come here today and give back and share with us what she's taken in and what she can. And she's learning too. She'll tell you, just like any of us, we're all learning. So she's going to learn with us, and we're going to learn with her. And I'm just going to stop talking so that way I can let her start sharing. And while I'm stopping sharing, I'm going to check on this question that Jonathan had. We already had a question from Jonathan, and it looks like it's being addressed in the chat, so that's looking good. All right, I'll let you go ahead and start presenting, and thank you again for being here with us. Everybody give Digital D a warm welcome for being here with us today and presenting a special request. And thank you for that special request, by the way.
Awesome. Thank you, RJ. I will have to pay you a bonus later for all of the kudos. My goodness.
Not at all facts. Stating facts.
Appreciate that. Let me share my screen. I'm doing that now.
All right, no worries.
There we go. All right. In business, you should see my screen. Let me know. Yes. Yep. Thank you.
Looking good. Looking great. As always, I will watch the chat for you so that way you can focus on what you're doing. So if you see a hand raised and me popping on the screen, that's just a question in the chat. So you audience, please put questions in the chat. We got a lot of people today. Looking good. All right, cool. I'll let you go. Thank you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. And I appreciate you being here. And because you're eager to learn, you're eager to excel in your career. And, like RJ said, you don't just arrive in the IT industry. It's a constant growth. As you know, new things are constantly coming out. But guess what? The core of the integrations are centered around, in our world, centered around really understanding MuleSoft to a very depth of understanding. That would include, first really being exposed to all of the fundamentals in MuleSoft. And the level 2 exam is going to focus on that next level of depth. So that's where we're headed. Do you guys hear any popping sounds on my mic?
I do hear that every now and then. I was checking to make sure everybody was muted. Everybody's muted, so it may be something on your end.
That is kind of weird.
Okay.
Let me see.
I'll keep everybody muted except you.
Hang on. Here. Testing 1, 2.
Yeah. Jonathan saying it sounded like a mouse click.
Okay. Is this better? 1, 2,
yep,
3.
Sounding good.
All right. Let me click my mouse. All right. It's not doing it
Nothing.
now, right? All right. So it may have been what Kajabi grabbed for my mic. All right.
Okay.
Let me go back. All right. So our focus today is on the MCD2 certified exam. So this is definitely a deeper dive, but I'm going to tell you, RJ started off sharing about the videos in our YouTube channel for Integration Quest. And so I'm going to bring that over real quick because some of the objectives that I'm going to be addressing today are actually in detail in our recordings from previous study groups. So be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're always adding additional things. We did a presentation yesterday at the Atlanta Salesforce Tower, and I got the recording on that. We're about to upload Vibes, our version of Vibe. I don't mean our version, but my delivery of Vibes for you too. So we're always adding some content on our channel. But when I hit to some of the advanced topics like, encryption and also securing our APIs, and Ryan's got some on streaming and binary, this is where all of our folks come together and share a lot of details. And it's going to be some of the objectives specifically for the MCD2. All right. So our focus will be on, I want you to pass the exam. Oh, I see a typo. That should be a number 2. I see a typo there, but we want you to pass the exam with confidence. Now, there's nothing worse than sitting in an exam and you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't know this. That's just a terrible feeling. I want you to really have that foundation, and I'm going to share with you how to build that foundation. So when you sit for that exam, you're on top of your game, or at least not feeling totally lost. But the other part of it is, it's not just about the certification. It's about being confident in your role, in your job. And so, when we end up, showing up or we're doing, you're on a project, or your company is, having tasks for you to do, and you go to dive into that, you're not freaking out because you don't know exactly what to do. Okay. So it's really more for your career. So the overview that we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the exam mindset, like I did a little bit already. The formats, the key domains. These are the objectives for this exam. So that's going to be our, scope. Our scope is going to be on that. Now, we won't have time today, obviously, to cover everything. But what I do want to do is, as we're going through this, I want you to be putting comments in that chat that say, oh, that objective, I need more of a drill down in that objective. Or I'm good. I'm really strong on this, but man, I need help with such and such. Because then what we can do is turn around and do more study group material that'll focus on those particular objectives. Okay. Then I'm going to talk to you about scenarios and traps on the exam, the game plan going into the exam, and then some Q&A. So that's going to be our agenda there. All right. A prerequisite of MCD2 is the MCD1. Jonathan asked, that was you, right, Jonathan, about if we have content on the MCD1. And yes, we do. Not only do we have that content, some of it is in the Integration Quest YouTube channel. The other one is on my Digital D channel. And I actually did this playlist for MCD1. So you must have this before you go into, here it is, before you go sit for the MCD2. So this is, I really need to move this over into Integration Quest, but this is some of the stuff I have prepared for some of the other just I was building it out because I was recording content of how to do things. And then it turned into this playlist for MCD1. I'm about to write a blog on this particular topic because I've had two people in our community, not just in the Integration Quest community, but two people, one from actually the Atlanta area. I met her yesterday. She's pretty awesome. And then I also had a gentleman from over the pond. I can't remember exactly where he's from. Forgive me. But he shared with me that this really helped him to become certified. And the cool thing about it is I contribute the man behind the scenes on this, because what RJ did while he was also helping me build a lot of this out is he took and created a summary for each of these. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because some of the content in the MCD1 is overlapped also in MCD2, but with a deeper focus. Okay. So it can't hurt for you to pick up these Google Docs that are here that we have, and also to review some of the content. And like I said, I was just doing this really to help RJ get certified. So anyway, I suppose it helped him, but he also RJ's got some great notes too that I want to capture as well on passing the exam. So we might need to have RJ do an MCD1 exam prep. But anyway, so it is a prerequisite. If you don't have it, you got to get it. There's no way around that. This is the only exam that has a prerequisite. So you got to do it. All right. Now, there are two courses that support the content for MCD2. I would highly recommend sitting in these courses if you are an individual, not associated, with a way to do that. Then I'm going to share with you how, you can at least try to do some self-study and then share with us your pain points, and we can go from there. Otherwise, these two courses are what prepare you for this exam. Now, did they prepare you in full? No. Because you know what? You're going to be in the class and you're going to go, I just recently got qualified to teach this class, the DEX 660. It's 3 days. And honestly, I sat through that class 3 times. Yes, I did. And because I needed to really get comfortable with the delivery, because I'm quizzed, or actually not just quizzed, but I have to qualify. I've got to, show that I know the content. And it's a lot. It's a lot of details. It is. You're right.
Jonathan's got a question really quick on this. I'm going to read it out because we can't see this chat again. So once we put this on YouTube, people are like, hey, what question were you answering? So Jonathan's asking, I have a question about this. The format of this course is 3 or 4 days feels too fast. And yeah, go ahead and cover that. You're on the slide.
Definitely. Yeah, you're right, Jonathan. That's what I was saying is you go through the class and it's a lot of material. And you find that you almost come out of it going, what did I just learn? So at that point, you have the material. You can go back through and really study and break it down and do it again. My biggest tip, and you're going to hear me say this numerous times, get your hands on the keyboard. Practice, practice, practice it just every which way. Take digital notes. I personally use a PowerPoint presentation format for my digital notes because I can grab a screenshot and I can add text. But at any rate, these are the 2 classes, and it is pretty fast. So anyway, each one of the 2 different courses have different approaches. You can and different objectives. So first off, here is the DEX 660. And so if you can take the class, yay, take it. Otherwise, I want you to come in here and I want you to grab all of these objectives. Grab all of these objectives and put it in your digital notes. Okay. Because if you're having to self-study your way through this and not take an instructor-led class, you've got to drill down into each of these. Okay. And so, cool. Yeah. Very good. Thanks, RJ. And so that would be, this is the production ready development. Now, the other course I had listed on the slide is going to be the production ready integrations. So it's a little different, but both of these courses are what you need, or the objective list of objectives that are questioned in the MCD2. And then we come down here, and here are the topics to be covered. I can drop the URL in the chat. However, you'll have to log in to Salesforce Academy and all that too. So let me grab this, and I'll put both of these in the chat. And then RJ, if you want to transfer both of those over into, you know, the YouTube channel description, that would be cool. All right. Because like I said, if you're self-studying this is what you need to, in detail, what you need to cover and make sure that you're clear on. I will come back to this. Okay. So, again, you know, the exam itself is going to be a condensed version. Maybe condensed is a good term. I don't know, but a condensed of both of those courses combined. So I want you to grab a screenshot of that, folks. Even if you're watching the YouTube channel, I want you to take a screenshot of that and put it in your digital notes, because that's your happy dance. That's what you want to achieve. Okay. So in the actual exam details itself, we will go to the exam guide, and this is where you will see all of the objectives listed. Okay. So you come down, there we go. All right. And the other element, and I'm going to go over each of these in more detail here in just a few minutes, but the other part of it is you see also the percentage of the questions on the exam that are from each of these objective categories. All right. So this is the exam guide coming in the chat. And that would be, you know, really where you want to drill down and make sure you're very good on all of these things. But I don't mean just like, yeah, I can execute unit tests with Maven. Sure. Yeah, I know. No, do it. You got to do it. You just have to do it. And like I said, well, Ryan's got some great material also on MUnit. I've got some material on MUnit as well. So anyway, that's going to be a part of this certification. All right. Another thing to think about. So those two courses funnel into this. The other thing to consider here as well. No worries, Jonathan. It's recorded. Come back and see us. The exam. Remember, the exam has 60 questions. You have 2 hours. Pace yourself. Watch your time. Make sure you are like at the, you know, at the 1 hour point, you're more than halfway, you know, so that you make sure you get to answer all of the questions, right? Nothing worse than you're not answering a question because you ran out of time. Do not run out of time. Ultimately, you need, out of the 60 questions, you need 70% pass, 42 correct answers. I don't want you getting 42 though. You need to go over that. You need to like really master this, you know, so make sure that you are deeply ready for the questions on this exam as you go forward. So anyway, that is the pass rate there. And as we look at each of these categories, this is now a breakdown of each of these objectives. The objectives in the first part are to expose production-ready anypoint platform managed APIs from Mule applications. All right, so this is the life cycle of our API. And there would be versioning involved here, policies, okay, server-side caching. So we could, you know, get familiar with that, event-driven integration, and API auto-discovery. Now, all of these also, or I shouldn't say all of these, but many of these are also on my YouTube channel as well. Again, after teaching classes, a lot of times I would find that people would be a little struggling with certain concepts. So there's a category of bits and bytes here, and some of these are also replicated over into, let me find it, into integration quests. Hang on a minute. And so some of these are, I think they're actually on the integration quest site. Oh, here it is. Here's the bits and bytes. Okay. So at some point, RJ, maybe we can move all these over to integration quests. I'm fine with that. It's, you know, some of this is from little study groups that we've done. Some of it is just based on, you know, people asking about this, but this is also going to be very helpful in passing MCD2. Okay. There you go. So it was just like some of these were part of me creating content. Some of it is, you know, just for, you know, I promised a class I would do it. So like the standalone servers from an architect class, I'm like, I'll cut a video on that. So anyway, that's where these kind of generated from. But, you know, there is here API lifecycle, number one. Also, managing with a proxy app and managing for the, it should be in here. If it's not, I'm not sure where it's at, but also to the basic endpoint, which is the auto discovery piece here. All right. So you've got additional opportunities there. And like I said, what we do is drop it in the chat. Oh man, I really need help with such and such, or you can send it to us later. But there are two ways to add enforcement and add policies to secure your endpoints, to secure your APIs. There's two ways, a proxy app and the embedded or basic endpoint way using auto discovery. And both of them have a different pathway in which we do that. And for the most part, honestly, you're going to be using the basic endpoint, the auto discovery method. And so you want to be very familiar with that. Philip, are the videos hands-on videos or more of a lecture based? They're a combination of both. I think but some of the bits and bytes might be more focused on a, you know, more lecture. I would just have, when RJ, when you review those and, you know, if you want to bring them over.
I remember some of them. I've looked at some of them and they are lecture based. So you're going over like the key points of what would need to be known in that exam or in that class. And then you're going into it and even giving some examples of flows and things like that. So I don't want to say that for all of the videos, but I'm going to say for 50% of those videos, it's lecture based information that you would be able to absorb.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Another thing too, the auto discovery, we teach that method in our professional integration with MuleSoft course. And we're about to launch a little bit of a different delivery model on that as a test. And I would have to say, you know, we might look for some individuals interested in some of that approach, but we do in our course that we created, we do this as part of that whole exposure to basic endpoint versus proxy, when you would use either or. And also in addition to that, it's in the instructor-led courses with Salesforce, the MuleSoft courses that I shared earlier. So it's in those as well. Okie doke. So let's see what else. Event-driven architecture also, you do want to be familiar with that. And also, for example, you know, webhooks, things like that. Policies, understanding the different policies, custom or out of the box. Is Francis in the room still? Francis, yeah, Francis is in the room. Yeah, Francis created a really cool custom policy. and it's recorded. It was in our study group. So it would be well worth you scoping that out, and he shares details on that. So that was a really good, I actually, Francis, I talk about that a lot with clients.
Well, I'll do another one for all the 500 errors.
There you go. Oh man. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, for sure. Event driven, Ryan's bringing up, don't you think they would end up asking about JMS or Anypoint MQ? Yes, I'm sure. Yeah, for event driven architecture. Yep, for sure. Or knowing how, the managing the details on that. Yeah, you will. But you know what, Ryan, you're not going to be exposed to the entire bank, right? Yeah. Because you're only going to see 60 questions. Do you remember how many questions are in a bank? Of an exam bank? Francis, weren't you on that team too?
No, they never tell you. There's like in one round of us making questions, I think it was something like 30 or 40 per cohort, but there was 3 cohorts and that wasn't the only round. So even if we came up with 90 questions, then they could have done it 3 months later, and there could be thousands. We don't know.
Yeah, it's a huge bank. And then they do change some of the questions and they update content when the, and that's one thing too. Let me share that really quick. They will tell you here, sorry, wrong place. There we go. They do tell you here that the exam is based on the spring 24 release. Wow. Okay. So even though there are new releases of the course content, the exam is using the release of the spring 2024 version of the course content. So if there's like, there may be new things that are even in our course content already, but the exam is based on that release. So that's kind of a while ago, Yeah. Ryan, I'm sure we could set that up. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is 13% of the exam, folks. 13%. So keep that in mind. Now, some of that you're going to be pretty comfortable with, but if you have not really used auto discovery a lot, you want to know that API versioning. Be sure that you not only understand semantic versioning, but also you want to understand what happens when you change a major version. Okay, it creates a different asset. It's, take one of your APIs that you have that you've been playing around with and change the major version and see what happens. And we could do that. I had in my last series that I did with you all of the different environments that you want to set your Mule app up with. I intended the next one beyond that to not only take your managed API, promote it, take your Mule app, and have it deployed to the new higher environment. So that would be a good thing. We could probably throw in that for another study group to take and do a major version change and experience that. So yeah, jot that down, RJ, for me so that we know to cover that. It'd be good to see. All righty, next objective. This one's 25%. 25%. Implement maintainable and modular Mule applications and their Maven builds. Okay. So some of this sounds, yeah, I got that. This will be good. Okay, well, it's detailed on the Maven side. And some of this is where you'll see the POM file, the parent POM, the BOM. And trust me, it gets a little complex. One second. It gets a little complex. So you don't necessarily build it, well, at least in the DEX 660. It's been a while since I've taken the DEX 670. I had it scheduled, but then I ended up having to teach. But anyway, what I want to share with you on this is deeply understand Maven. The different the different phases of the Maven build, what it means with your Maven repositories, You know, I don't think we have done a study group on Maven, have we? Historically, I don't think we have that I recall. I think that'd be another really good study group. Is Maven?
I'm checking to confirm, but I do not remember that. I'm searching right now.
All right, so call in some Maven experts.
Nothing on Maven. Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Good one.
yeah, there you go. Ryan's committed
Man,
for
all
that
right,
one.
Ryan.
Right.
Ryan, if you're good with it, I'm actually going to give you a date on that. It's
Very
your
cool.
next one. All right. Awesome.
And then Francis, if you wanted to do the custom policy on the 500 errors, that would be
Yes, I
awesome.
certainly will.
All right, let's keep this cooking, guys. Let's keep it hot. All right, so CI/CD pipelines. I don't believe we've done a pipeline in the study group either, like taking Azure and, you know, Azure DevOps and doing one there. I know that Alex Martinez had done one on Bitbucket, and she was like, this is pretty cool. This is pretty easy. But anyway, I don't know where her recording on that is, but at any rate, we, you know, the CI/CD pipeline is, you know, realistically the way that we should be deploying our apps. And we want to understand the components of that as we are doing it. So, yeah, as we get to that point of really doing a deep dive into Maven, and then we go further, we should do a pipeline, you know, at the, as our grand finale, or at least as part of that. And then of course, that's where, you know, our M-unit tests. Oh, cool. Oh, it was a study group. Awesome. All right, Ryan, good. Thanks. Whoever posted that. Who posted that? RJ or Ryan?
I did that. I don't know who did this video. Yeah, it is Ryan, and it was the CI/CD pipeline using Azure. So it was way back. It was 2024. So we're getting in the archives. I mean, that's what I'm always calling it. Good job, Ryan. So
Okay,
there it is in the chat, and it'll be in the links.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So Ryan, what were you saying? You said that Maven is MuleSoft has a different opinion about Maven configs. Yeah, there you go. That's hot.
Yeah, I think MuleSoft. I didn't say different. I said opinions.
Okay.
So that's really for the people in this study group, not about all of our other study groups. You could just learn Maven, and that may do really well for you in your actual job. When it comes to the test, you not only want to learn Maven, there's certain ways of doing Maven that MuleSoft is in favor of, and they put it in the classes. And like with the parent POMs and with the bill of materials, and so that's what I was getting at in the chat, is that it's not only about go to the Apache website and read the documentation for Maven. There's design patterns with how you do your Maven, how you set Maven up. So from Trailhead Academy, the class is called Production Ready Development Practices that does that one. For our, I can't remember on our developer. We have a developer course catalog, and I don't remember what I named the class, but we have one for that too.
Production ready, develop that one, right?
That one has all of MuleSoft's opinions in it, right?
Yeah. Well, and pause there for just a minute. Remember this: if it's a MuleSoft exam, it's going to be their opinion.
Exactly. That's
and
why
then we'll try the real world side. Yeah. So know that when you go, that's that mindset. That's the exam mindset. But go ahead, Ryan. Sorry, I wanted to.
I was just going to say, our class, I backed off. It's got MuleSoft opinions in it, and it's also got practical stuff in it. So, you know, if it's just about getting certified, Dex 660 is your ticket.
All right, tell me, I'm going through the list. Pipeline, there you go. Pipeline.
Yeah,
Listen,
but if it's
by the way,
ours is not aligned with ours is more practical, is what I was getting at.
Yeah, and all of our stuff is more practical. Our professional integration with MuleSoft teaches you both ways of enforcing policies, you know, of different, you know, but also too, like Ryan said, this is, by the way, our website is finally updated. Shout out to Whitney and RJ. They're working collaboratively in a lot of this stuff, but Whitney's our primary key web designer. I think she's on here. Whitney, still with us?
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
And, well, no, she may have needed to drop.
She may have, yeah, but we've got this, and this is what Ryan's talking about. So you do cover both, right?
You want to take Christian's question before I lose it.
Yes.
Yeah, this is still
Here it is. That's
Go
okay.
go
Christian
ahead.
asked regarding the master bomb, and how critical do you think it is to include it in our projects? He says, personally, I find it extremely useful for maintaining consistency.
Can I be here? I'll be Christian.
But
And then you can answer as the teacher.
No, I'll be Christian. You answer it. Hold on. But I've noticed some projects struggling to see its value.
I was actually trying to be Christian, so I don't know why we're fighting over being Christian, because I think Christian's here. We should just let Christian be Christian. But no, that was fun. We should do that more often.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so funny. Christian, can you can they can unmute? Can't they?
Yeah, he's good. He's caught.
Okay. All
He's
right.
just being respectful.
At any rate, what's your take on this, and what are the current MuleSoft best practices regarding its adoption? Diane's going to give her answer first. Then Ryan's going to give his answer.
I just would like to translate the question for and most people who are listening to this don't. Christian seems to be an informed question asker.
Right.
Right. So Maven has a thing called the Bill of Materials, BOM. That's what he's asking about. There's another thing called the Project Object Model, POM. These are both configuration artifacts, right? They're things you have to make to tell Mule how to build. So that's what the question's about, Diane. I just wanted to make sure that we had that on record, what he's asking.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. But I do want your input on this. First of all, in most cases, sadly, you will not even see, and that there's a POM file that exists in our Mule apps. And then there's the parent POM file that can also manage a lot of your, build details and versioning. And then there's the BOM, which like Ryan just mentioned, the build, they call it the bill of materials. And so all of those are additional files to manage your builds, right? Good. Ryan's got it in the chat. There you go. Bombs, POMs, and all that good stuff. Okay, so unfortunately, what you might find, and I know Shivani's in the room, and Shivani, I want you to speak up on this too, is that sometimes you're going to enter into an enterprise and they've not used either the parent or the BOM at all. And then you've got to go in and let's just say one of your connectors or your dependencies, one of the versions has changed, and you need to go in there and change it for your entire enterprise. Shivani, you want to share how fun that is? I don't know, Shivani, if you unmute, if you can get to it. I know she's been on a project before where she's had to go in and create that and manage and redo all of the, or actually implement a parent or BOM. I don't know if she ended up doing the BOM. I'm not sure if she's listening. And so, oh, Shivani, let me see.
So this is weird. On my end, I only have mute her microphone. I don't have a way to unmute her.
I made you an admin. Shivani, try it now. Huh.
Maybe something on her end, because we've had plenty of other people that were able to unmute. That's okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I know she has faced that in the real world, so if you want to put a comment in the chat about that. So to answer your question, Christian, unfortunately, a lot of companies or even the MuleSoft architect does not get that implemented at the beginning. So I would recommend to do it. I know some people do not. At least a parent POM, where you can manage a lot of that. And the BOM, of course, otherwise. And then you have some companies that are the smaller companies, and they're manually deploying. They're not even using a pipeline. So it's like, how deep do you need to go? Your enterprise, customers absolutely should have this. All right, Ryan, that's my input. Go.
Go what?
You're going to share your opinion on that.
You want me to give you a whole different answer? You did a good answer.
Well, I like my answer, but what's your input?
I think the reason he was coming on was he was explaining the question, and I'm really glad that he did, because Christian has some high level questions. So for me, that helped me to understand the question better. I appreciate you doing that, Ryan.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two things you can do in a parent POM. I'd like to add that a little bit. So first of all, the domain where this matters is where you have a lot of Mule applications. If you have 2 Mule applications, none of this matters at all. Okay. So if you have 10 and you're going to have 20 and they're going to last for years, now you have to deal with two things that change over time, right? You're going to be having the fact that software is released all the time by MuleSoft, right? So the Mule core version and all the connector versions and that kind of stuff. Underlying libraries get released all the time. So even, the more applications you have and the more time that passes, that's a lot of change that has to be managed. And you guys have to figure out if your applications work, right? As these versions. And MuleSoft kind of pushed the issue when they released their new back support policy. It's not new. I'm sorry. It's new to old people like me. It's an old back support policy, but now they're releasing a new version every 3 months, right? So it's like a
New to old people. I love how you think you're old.
Anyway, it's that means we have to deal with changing versions of the software that our applications use as a thing, right? And again, 2 applications, you can handle it in a POM file. Don't worry. You have 20. How are you going to have a scalable way to manage that, right? So the bill of materials is it used to be a design pattern. Maven is making it a real separate type of artifact in Maven 4. We're not on Maven 4. We're on Maven 3. So it's kind of a design pattern of the kind of information you're putting in your parent POM, which is about dependency versions. There's more stuff you can put in parent POMs, and the exam cares about all the stuff you can put in parent POMs. So Christian's question is just about bill of materials, which is the one thing that goes in the parent POM about your dependency versions, right? And I agree with the premise of Christian's question is, hey, it's pretty useful, and it's kind of tricky to do it right. Right? Because when you release a new bill of materials, every app that uses it has to go through a change to pull in that new version of it. So you have to have a practice around how often do I want to update the bill of materials? How important is it that we get all the other applications updated on, quickly when we do it? None of that's going to be on the exam, Christian. I can't promise that, but I doubt the troubles with bombs are the kinds of thing you're going to run into on the exam. I think it's probably a lot more about the mechanism of it. Like just how does it work? Yeah. If I change this in the bomb, what will change in the, they're going to ask you technical stuff on the MCD2 is famously a techie type exam, not architects. They have a different architect exam. So yeah, it'll be much more about how does the bomb work, etc. Right? But your question is kind of more of an architecture thing, like, which is a good question. I just don't know if I want to take Diane's time for that. So there's my long answer. You asked for it, Diane.
Thank you. I was trying to see if I may have. No, I don't. I thought I had a bomb and POM here, but I don't. Unless it's in the folder, open file. Okay, now we need to do a study group on that. Looking for volunteers other than me.
Shivani,
yeah, there you go.
Shivani's unmuted on camera. She may have something.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. RJ, nice to meet you, and I guess not in person yet, but on camera.
This is great. I agree. Yeah, it is same for you. Same here.
But I haven't joined the group in so many months. I'm excited to be here. And to your question, guys, the client I was working for did not have parent POM set up. And this issue happened when we had the whole issue with Log4j. You remember that vulnerability?
Yep.
And I had to go in and update connectors for every single API.
Oh, painful.
Yeah. So setting up a parent POM would be good. Even for right now at Rush, we don't have it, but it would be a nice improvement to do.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've got some examples of a POM and parent POM. I'm not going to find it fast enough for today. But yeah, and so you felt the real pain of not having a parent POM, and we're starting customers off, a lot of times when they're brand new, there's so much that they've got to consider, but a sharp architect would land them in the right place. Like, do it right the first time, especially like Ryan said, if it's more than 10 APIs, then you really need to consider that. You need to continue, growing it out with the right way. I know, right? Can you imagine, Suma? Oh, so I remember her telling us about that. So I was like, yeah, Shivani knows. She's been there. She's done that. Yep. All right. So what else is on here? Custom API policies. That is something else too that like we mentioned earlier already, that Francis shared. He's going to do another one on managing 500 errors. Can't wait to hear about that one. So, but just again, like Ryan said, it's technical, but it's also not, you don't have to create one, but you do need to know the components of creating one, how it works. So, I mentioned MUnit. Ryan, do you have any, didn't you do some study groups on the MUnit or even a meetup on MUnit, right? Yeah. So we've got some MUnit material out there. And so, just be sure to be familiar with a lot of that. And
but notice the heading of this exam objective is maintainable and modular applications and their Maven builds. So this angle on MUnit is MUnit when it's running from the build pipeline.
Correct. It's also in the course content of creating the test too. So you have to know, because as MUnit's not in the fundamental course. Now, that's where, you miss out on the importance of MUnit and your code coverage, because if you are having to meet your criteria for compliance on code coverage when you are being checked, this is something that's very important. But yeah, like Ryan said, so when you're running your deployments through your pipeline, that's part of your build. That's part of how it, you can see it here in the process for a build. This is using an example of Jenkins. And so if it fails, then, your build doesn't, your deployment will fail. And we had on a state contract I was on that okay, folks, we're doing MUnit tests, and we got the MUnit tests, they got them installed, created, and yay, the deployment worked. We could see the test coverage and all that good stuff. It was a happy place. And then they made modifications to the Mule app, and guess what happened? The MUnit test failed. Well, guess what? When you make modifications to your Mule apps, you need to turn around and also update your MUnit tests, and they forgot to do that. So anyway, they were like, it's the MUnit tests are failing. Can't we just, remove them? And it was like, no, you can't. You just need to update your MUnit tests. So anyway, they did, and everything worked out well. Oh, there you go. Power of MUnit mocking. Man, we are just cranking it out with our legacy material.
Oh, yeah. Just going through these, and I'm like, y'all are getting some really good topics. And I actually remember this one. This was a good one that Ryan did. It was back in October. Now, I wouldn't have remembered the date, but I am seeing it here. Now, Ryan, I'm sorry to call you out. You've already said you're doing another study group, and I've got you for that. I'm going to get with you on that. But during this study group back in October on MUnit mocking, you said that you would like to come back in the future and do MUnit resilience tests.
Oh, yeah.
I'm reminding you, I'm just saying, we've got to get you on that too. That's a good one, man.
And that's relevant to MCD too.
That's right.
We're looking at, Diane's probably got 3 more exam sections to cover. This one is about kind of the production ready development practices thing. There are some design pattern objectives in the exam. So resilience, I'm going to find out when I take the test. I'm betting it's not certification. It's much more practical. But there are some fundamentals of resilience, like having to do with persistence and files and object stores. And so I think MCD2 is going to care about the building blocks of resilience a lot. Mm-hmm. Right. And I might tell me Diane's going to tell me if I'm wrong because she prepared something for this study group and I just showed up. So we'll see what she said. But I think what I was planning on MUnit resilience is a lot more in practice. How do you make your Mule applications do stuff even when things break, right? And so yes, I'll that'll have to be the summertime probably before we get to that one. But summer's coming up,
Yeah, that's true. Suma wants to know about a part 2 for MCD level 2. I'm good with that. We can what we can do, is as we're outlining, we're already queuing up some additional study groups that cover the objectives. So we can assess based on your requests areas that you're like, I really need help with this objective. So you let us know in addition to what we've committed to. And, RJ, maybe you can blast out like what we have coming in the next, upcoming study groups, so that if somebody's like, oh, hey, I really need help with such and such, we can make
with an idea too. I mean, they could do like you're saying. It doesn't even have to be in this chat. It could be in this very video that we're going to have on YouTube. Put it in the comments, you all, so that way we can just filter through all those comments. And then when Digital D's coming back and she's presenting on part 2 of this, she knows what to really hit on.
Yeah. And anyone else, what I'd love to have too, and I think that someone recently got MCD2 certified. Whitney, you've got there you go. And someone recently got MCD2 certified that I was working with and coaching, and I'd love to get their input. Now I know Ryan's going to take it also, but Ryan's very experienced in many areas. We want to hear from somebody also that is like kind of learning all of this and give them their opportunity.
I'm not saying I'm going to take it. This is a study group. So yeah, I'm certainly
taking the exam.
Oh, I'm going to take I thought you meant take the study group slot.
No. I said no, exam. Mm-hmm. Somebody recently sent me a message that they recently passed MCD2, and I gave them a shout out on LinkedIn. So I want to see who that is, and maybe we can get them to share their testimony at part 2. That's what I'm after. Okay, next objective. This one's 15%. It's talking about health check endpoints, logging, effective logging, using logging, setting up your logs to where you can have them forwarded, different log levels. There's a lot there on logging and strategy on logging also. This all in turn ends up for us to monitor, right? And in regards to monitoring and, the focus on being able to know, like Ryan said, resilience. So this kind of is the resilience area he was referring to. And message correlation, we've got our correlation ID that is a reserved field value that is generated with every invocation on your applications. And that is something very trackable. Managing that, using that, really showing end-to-end, gosh, what would we do without our correlation ID? So you want to make sure that you understand what it is, how you can access it and see it, make it visible in your logs, and also to using that end-to-end. Now, there are different advanced features about correlation ID that thus far I've not seen in the content that we need to worry about. Like you can generate and forward it. There's some different things there. Health check is just a given, coming back to that real quick, that you can utilize your endpoints, but you also can leverage the functional monitoring feature within any point platform that also can give you some, information and validate if a system is down. Again, back to that state project I was on is that we use functional monitoring. We actually knew when a legacy system was down before the employees ever showed up to work. So we were spot on it. Remember that, Ryan? It's like, but we knew before they showed up to work. So, man, these features, we
only had 1,200 emails about it.
Only. Yeah, that's all. So yeah. All right. So I want to point out here, this is one of the things that is kind of cool is, we have our routers, we learn about our routers in the fundamental class, and we've got the, scatter gather, choice router, and until successful, and then round robin. I still have yet to really find a strong use for round robin. I'm sure it's out there, but we see scatter gather, like in this case, that can be used for redundancy. Also first successful router is another good one, or first successful is another router that is very useful for failover. First, maybe your first system, if that route fails, you drop down to an alternative system in your next route. So there's some strategy, and some of that strategy is part of the architectural objectives, but it's also covered a little bit in the MCD2, so that's another thing to consider for our routers. And then, of course, some of our scopes, the until successful scopes and our retry strategies and things like that, that is also going to be utilized in, not only if it's not an objective for the MCD2 that I can put my finger on, just like what we're talking about in the chat right now, is the trust store, key store, mutual TLS part of the MCD2. If it's not defined that it is, you definitely need to know that. You definitely need to know. And Ryan, don't you have some key store videos also? You did all three at meetups.
Yeah. I don't remember.
It may not have been in our study group, but you did. You hopped around on 3 different meetups.
Sounds like RJ can put it on the roadmap.
There you go. Yeah. Because he did. Ryan did. What did you do? You did Azure key store.
I was doing secrets management. I did a whole bunch of I did a meetup tour about secrets. I did not do certificates in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, implementing monitorable Mule applications. Also remember Visualizer. Visualizer is a really cool tool. Satya, he's a customer success engineer, I think he is. But anyway, good friend of mine in Atlanta area. We met up with him yesterday at the Atlanta Tower, Salesforce Tower, and he shared about Visualizer and really pointed out some additional things with Visualizer, whether it's part of this scope or not. You can narrow it down to be, really tracking things in more depth than monitoring as well. So anyway, some good stuff there. All right. We've got 2 more objectives and we are at 102. Okay. So implement performant and reliable Mule applications. There you go, Ryan. That's also, again, state persistence using the object store. This one's got a lot of objective details to it. Oh, you know what? That's got scatter gather also. Hang on a minute. I think that picture should be actually on this one. Oh, well, you get it twice. So anyway, object store, fault tolerance. There you go. Ryan, you asked about VM and endpoint queue. API, robust API handling, handling the errors. We do in-depth error handling in the fundamental course. However, I teach our error handling a little different, or we've written our integration, our professional integration with MuleSoft error handling segment a little differently, because really you want to have a mindset of having an error handling strategy and your retry strategies. And so it's this is deeper, a little deeper in what you need to do for error handling. The data validations, that is also too where you can use the validator, validate your data. Again, there's quite a bit there. These are going to be hands-on keyboard things for you to really use. We do a little bit about that in the fundamentals, but not as much. And I would need to look at the content of the DEX 670 to see if a lot of this is covered on that. I know I'm very familiar with the DEX 660, and we do not do that in that class. I think I'll sign up for the DEX 670 and get a more of a focus on that. Failure recovery, and like I mentioned, using the first successful router. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that router in particular, but it'll have the routes defined. And that's what I was talking about for fault tolerant, is that if the first route fails, like if your system is down, it doesn't throw an error. It actually just goes to the next route. It goes to your backup, whatever this route would do, which would be your backup plan. And then if that fails, then yes, you'll get an error. So using, the different routes for some of that too is really helpful. What else, Ryan? What comes to mind? What am I overlooking?
You didn't pull this. You wrote this yourself. Threading.
Well, part of it's pulled. I just reworded it.
I think when it says, so I'm betting the execution engine and the CPU light, CPU intensive, blocking IO, scheduler execution service part would be in this section.
But
I don't see any documentation about that, but I think there's a documentation. I'll put a link in the chat.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't know that it gives that architectural level. I need to take the DEX 670 and know if it's in that content, because it's not in the 660. We don't.
But it's not guaranteed the classes have all the content. You have
Yeah.
to take the exam.
Yeah. But the idea behind it is, really how, for your high performance integrations, for your failovers.
And what about batch? You think they would have batch in here? I bet they have batch.
Right. Yeah.
So I would
has
think.
anyone taken, Suma, did you take the DEX 670 recently? Like within the last year?
No, it's been a while, Diane.
Okay. Yeah. And mostly because I don't know if that's hands-on keyboard stuff, like to actually go through it. I know what's in the DEX 660 very well, and it's not in that. So now MUnit is. We do a whole segment on MUnit and that type of thing, but I'll find it because it's a high percentage of the exam. It's 27%. In my opinion, that's kind of a high percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. More to come on some of this. We definitely talk about it in the integration architect course. That's clearly a lot of what we spend time on, for that.
And the way you wrote failure recovery, I wonder what your source material was. I think it says compensating transactions, which usually that's only going to be covered if regular transactions have already been covered. So it will probably have regular ACID transactions. And then if it gets to the saga pattern and compensating transactions, that's amazing. Like that's much higher level.
I don't think it does. Here's the thing. Let's look at what it actually says. Implement fault tolerance, performance, and traceability.
See, compensating transactions. It's the second to last.
Okay.
So I would take that if I was studying as a clue that if you need to know compensating transactions, you probably just need to know regular transactions too. Right?
Yeah.
And
see, here's the DEX 670, and it is trace transactions across using your correlation ID.
Yeah, that's not an actual transaction.
Though. Persistent data, cache, applying.
But again, that's a class. I'm still thinking of objectives.
Yeah, well, these classes are supposed to support what the exam has.
Yeah, but when we're wearing our Trailhead Academy hats, we never promise that all the exam is covered by the class.
Well, that's very true. And actually, in the creation of the exam, that was another clarity that we discussed is should the exam have only content from the classes or from the experience of someone with this? Because it says that, where is it? There is a place where it's that you should have like who the exam is for. Yeah. And so
they take that, see that paragraph that Diane right showed, the exam people that we worked for, it was a volunteer, but they take that language right there super seriously.
That they do.
Yeah.
That they do, because it doesn't mean that this exam is exclusively based on the content of those two classes. It is saying if you have experience working independently on production-ready Mule apps in a DevOps environment. So it's saying you might be questioned on things that are not necessarily in the course. And that's where Ryan's saying, you better check out some other additional material. Right? Because we kind of, in that process of creating the exam, there was some differences of opinions on that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So there's some thing. Okay. And then the last one, this one's 20%. And configuration management for different properties. Now that is covered in part 1 or part 2. I think part 2 of my recent study group, where I did the different environments, having your property files for each of those environments and deploying it from there. So that's already documented. You can go see that. Certifications, certs and keys. That's what Ryan was talking about, his secrets, right? Well, and the keys for that. So that is something that we would have there.
Yeah, I think you did one on secure config not that long ago in study group.
Yes. HTTPS. I don't think we have that covered to do HTTPS. Although, if anything gets deployed to Cloud Hub 2, it's going to be automatically forwarded to HTTPS. And mutual TLS authentication. Now that we did not do. I think a long time ago, I did a 3-part segment on what is Alex Martinez's channel, Ryan? Twitch?
The Twitch community, MuleSoft community.
Yeah.
Or _ one of those two is hers. But it always streams on LinkedIn. She's kind of not been doing it that recently, has she?
She's on maternity leave.
That explains it.
It does, but she's coming back, I think, in April. So, but anyway, if
IQ only had a Twitch channel.
Well, gee. We're using Kajabi for our fun. All right, so I did a 3-part in great detail. I probably should revisit it again and really show you how to set up OAuth on a platform account. And you can do it on a trial account. It does work. So I did this whole Octadance thing as 3 parts. So I don't know. We need to capture that because it is out there somewhere. Yeah, that's the previous one there. Good deal. Yep. Okay, so it's securing security, bearer token auth 2.0. All of that is a big part of that. Having a clear understanding of this really does help to answer some of those questions. And again, remember, it's going to be a lot along the lines of theory. A lot of it will be on really thinking through the questions. Okay, so your next steps, your call to action is set your date. Set it. Because you know what? If you don't set a date, it's just going to be out there in La La Land, out there in the future. When you set a date, and it may be a month or 2 off, that's okay. Then start mapping yourself out with things, areas you need to learn. If you can take the instructor-led classes, do it. If you can't, then you break it down with those objectives. You get hands-on keyboard. We're going to throw some references out there for you also, like what will be, if you're watching by video, or even if you're here now and you happen to not copy the links we're putting in the chat, then they're going to be all down there in the description. And, it is a lot of content. It is a lot of material. And this one really stands out. I'd love to see the statistics on how many people actually have MCD1 and have MCD2, because this one's that next deeper level. And then of course there's the architects. But let me tell you, the platform architect certification is honestly, in my opinion, a lot less technical than the MCD2. And so I've had people in that course that have passed that certification that in turn are not as deeply technical as you need to be for MCD2. So I think it helps you become a better technical architect, a better integration architect when you are MCD2 certified. So just my opinion. So anyway, once you've scheduled your exam, then you want to catch any of your gaps. Does anybody currently have the MCD2 PDF version of the practice exam? I looked through all my stuff and I didn't find it. Anyone know? Ryan, do we have the MCD2 PDF practice exam?
Now, in the architect class, I found it in the student files.
Whoa.
So you just took 660, and I don't have written authorization, but I do have other instructors who seem to think that MuleSoft would be fine with me distributing it to my own students, even if they didn't pay for the class.
Well, it was publicly available at one time.
So if you do look in your student files, that could be one way to find it.
Yeah, it wasn't my recent class.
In your student
right.
files?
I don't know about the student files, but the
look.
practice exam, yes, you're right, Suma. The practice exam used to be publicly available for anyone, even when it went into a PDF version. So I think you're clear, Ryan, to give that out. It was.
Except I don't have it. That's what you have to look in your student files from 660.
Oh, I gotcha. All right, I'll look. I've got an old version of 660 also.
Yeah.
So from when I, so yeah, we'll see if we can locate that, because that practice exam kind of gives you a feel for what the questions are going to be like. Some scenario, less scenario in this exam, though. It's more technical, but you're going to have some little bits of scenario questions to lean you into making a technical decision. Okay, so whereas like the architect classes are heavily on scenarios, right? And the hyperautomation exam is heavily on scenarios. So it's a little different in regards to that. Yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I'm glad to know where it's at though. No. Okay, so the next thing, let's say now you're fast forwarded. What?
I think so. I'm going to be brave. I have been wanting Integration Quest to have our own practice exams.
You're going to commit.
I didn't commit. I'm just putting the word out there. I think probably the way to do it, though, especially with a study group, a healthy study group community like you guys, is basically anybody who helps us with questions. So I want to author our own questions. I don't want to try to gather them from some other place. I want to really, just like MuleSoft made, I want us to make our own questions. So if you guys help, then you can just have lifetime access to the practice exams, right? But I don't think I have time to do it myself. So I'm going to need to make it a community effort. But yeah, I think we would probably, I want it to be a service to the community. So we would just let whoever doesn't help, we'd probably do something cheap for them to have access to take the exams. But I think the way to do it is to leverage our global community and all you smart people.
Hear you calling all of our smart friends. So I know we need to it's helpful to have a practice exam to know where your gaps are, and that's what I liked about our original practice exam, because it would even act like a real test exam, and it would have the timer and everything. And so I want you to think about this scenario. The exam starts. Okay, so let's say you're actually starting the exam. You're going to see the timer at the top. You're going to have the questions pop up, and you're also going to have where you can mark a question for review, and then it's going to flag your whole panel. You're going to see a little panel of every question, just not every question, but just like a number for each of the questions. Also probably on your right, unless they change the structure of the exam. I don't know, of the graphical interface. But the question comes up, and then you answer your question, watch your time. You basically have if it's 120 minutes, you've got 2 minutes per question. Now, some of the questions are going to take you less than 2 minutes, and some of them are going to take you longer, but don't labor too long on a given question, because you don't want to burn time on something that, you might waste time on, and you would have more time to answer other questions faster. Okay, so kind of watch your time. Like I said, in 1 hour, at the 1 hour point, make sure you're at least 30 or more of the questions. Otherwise, you're going to run out of time. So stay hot on it. Okay. And then there's also, by the way, and you're going to read this when you start the exam, there's also questions on the exam that are not graded. Don't you love it? So that means basically that they're throwing some questions at you just to kind of get a result on those, and they're not graded. So what are those questions about? If you get a question that's like stinking hard and it's not even part of an objective, and you're like, why are they even asking me this? Might be one of those.
Don't cheat. You could be tricking yourself. So I treat all of them like real questions, and just know that, because I go for 100% score.
Yeah.
If one question seems like all the answers are wrong, I'm just going to do my best and hope that it's one of the fake questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't throw it out. Answer it. Give it your best. Okay. And so then as you progress along on that whole process, mark any of them that you need to come back to, because sometimes you're going to have a question later that either jogs your memory or that will shed light on something that makes you double check that other answer. Okay. So, I mean, don't be too wishy-washy, but as you're going through it, mark for review, and then you'll finish out the questions and then go back. You can't submit your exam until you have cleared all of the ones flagged for review. So be careful. Make sure you have time to check and uncheck those review questions and quick, go the way through and submit. Okay. But don't be too oh, I don't know, just kind of go with something and go with your gut sometimes, double check and read, the questions there. Look for keywords, look for key phrases. You're going to, sometimes a question might be a little wordy, a little, more, maybe trying to throw you a curveball, and some information in the question might not be relevant to what they're actually asking, so just, be watching those. Prepare your space in advance. You cannot talk to anybody during the exam. The dog can bark. They've told me I'm allowed to have a dog barking. They said it's okay. But someone walks in the room, you can't talk to anybody. Make sure you're on a strong internet, reliable internet, if all possible, cabled. I've done it wireless, but no problems there. Make sure your laptop is plugged in. Nothing worse than your battery, running low. They used to ask us for a government ID. I don't think they're doing that anymore. I don't know, but you do have to have your whole desk cleared off. I actually go to another table to do my exams so that I don't have to worry about my office. And then, you do obviously have to have a webcam and a mic that works. All right. Get in the zone, relax your brain. Don't try to cram the night before. Park it all away. Get a good night's rest. Get your focus clean. Pray if you're a praying person. If you're not a praying person,
don't crack open your notes and try to memorize the attributes for a scatter gather.
Right.
Not the night before. It's over. You already have it all in your head by then.
That's right. That's right. And that's why I say your best learning experience is hands-on keyboard, really working with all of these tools. If you're reviewing a video, do it. Don't just watch it. Do it. Okay. I would take 2 months. If you haven't already started, Philip, you may already have started. To me, I think a 2-month period is good. Really hit each of the objectives, because this is pretty technical stuff, and if you don't pass the first time, it's not a problem. That's okay. What you do is you get your report, and then you target those weak areas. Do not take a long period of time to retake it. Just look at your weak areas, get back in on those, turn back around and take it again. You have to take it again and again and again. It doesn't matter. The only time you're not successful is if you give up. Okay, so don't give up. Just conquer it. You might pass it the first time. Then celebrate. That's when you're going to get that cert that you'll get this when you go in there. So I want you to remember this. And like I said, take a screenshot of this. Let me come out of that and exam guide. I want it to do the pop-up window for us. Here it is. Oh, it didn't do it again for me. It should say we're already certified. Anyway, That's my conclusion. That's what I wanted to conclude and share. Any questions? Yeah, Q&A time. Any questions?
Great work. That was awesome. I love seeing the little, a lot of information to cover and what would be expected in there.
Look, that's what you get. Look at the
There it is. Look at that.
So,
Boom. Fireworks. Confetti.
yeah. Let me stop sharing. All you, RJ. Yep.
Great job. Great job. Thank you for presenting on that. That was a very insightful, very informative, and lets me know that I would like to be hands-on with MCD1 a lot more before I jump into MCD2. But I'm a brand new person at this, you know. Sima, she's been doing this. Ryan's been doing this long enough. So I'm anxious to hear how everything goes. I think you all got this. I really do. So keep studying. And great job, everybody, contributing in the chat. I really appreciate seeing. I've got a really nice list of future study group topics that we're going to be going over. We even had a couple of people saying that we're going to go ahead and present and offering up some new presentations. So this is good. This is really good. If it was me, I would schedule that exam in the future far enough to where we can get some of these topics addressed, so that way you can come back into these study groups and just get ready for the MCD2 exam. I mean, that'd be smart.
Yeah.
And don't rush it, you know, but like you said, set a date. All right, question and answer time. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead and feel free to pop in and unmute. Go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention is a lot of these objectives are going to be things that you're going to be dealing with in the architect integration objectives. So it's not even in the platform architect. So the foundation you build here are, you know, is going to help you, you know, as you continue to go. So just wanted to share that.
Yep. That's a good call. I like it. I like it.
Oh yeah. Suma's waiting for next week.
That's up next. Yeah. I'm going to say what's going on next, and let her know what's going on. All right. Hey, Christian, that's a good one. I appreciate that. At first, Christian says, I think RJ is in trouble. I'm like, what's going on? Am I muted? And he says, because all the sessions are really good. We're leveling up very quickly. It's just happening. I mean, seriously, this is all you all. I could stand here and I could bore you all, and you could look at my background and you'd be like, what is this guy talking about? It's everybody that comes in and presents. It's everybody that comes in and contributes. It's all y'all. So really, I think we're all in trouble because this is leveling up. Yeah. Great work. All right. Well, I'm going to jump to this next slide, and we're going to share with the we had a question, you know, what's going on next week. So we've got Edgar. I'm looking to see if he's still here. He may have needed to drop. That's all right though, because I told him that I was going to be sharing this. He said, go for it. So this is what's happening next week. Edgar is going to be coming back, and he is going to be presenting. He's going to be sharing with us about the MuleSoft MCP servers. And he's also got a little, you know, I'll just go ahead and say a little peek into an app that he's got. So we're going to see some really cool stuff. Y'all need to join us next week. I don't want to say too much and spoil anything. I want him to share what he's got to share with us, and I'll advertise it out next week and share with you a little bit, but you need to be here and join us. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop recording, and we're going to hang out and we're going to talk a little bit more like we always do. So thank you again so much for presenting on that and for being here, everybody.
Thank you.